Okay, put your name on the front of this and then go into this right here, okay? You've done these before, okay? I want you to simplify these expressions. That's when you use the 3 lines, all these problems. So underline the problem if you don't have it. And we have an X and then another X. Don't write the same letter out twice. Don't do that. So that X is to the 5th. It's not in parentheses, so I write a 5 down. If it's in parentheses, you got to do something with the 5. Plus 10. Okay, so 5 plus 10 is 15. Is that a negative or a positive? It's a positive, so you keep it the same place. And then you can't figure that out on a calculator, so you go X to the 15th. That's your answer. Okay, next one. Ignoring the exponents, we actually have a number, so I put 5 times X. Don't write 2 X's, just 1's fine. Then underline it. So 5, if it doesn't have a power, you put a 1. Is that in parentheses? Nope. Okay, so let's just go in order, sorry. Okay, X is 7th, so I put a 7. 5 to the 1st, I put a 1. There's no parentheses, so I don't have to do any. And then to the 8th, so I plus an 8 to the 7 that's already there. So 7 plus 8 is 15. Is that a negative? Nope, keep it on top. Is that a negative? Nope, keep it on top. And then 5 to the 1st power is 5 times X to the 15th. Okay, next one. So we have 3 times X, ignore the little powers, okay, times 4 times, and then X, I already put X down, so don't put a letter again. Don't put a letter more than once. So let's look at our list 3. It's to the 1 power, so I put a 1, but if it's in parentheses, you don't write 1 down. You got to take the 1 times the 2. 1 times 2 is 2, so put a 2 down. Now go to the X, 3, but it's in parentheses, so 3 times 2 is 6. Now to the 4, to the 1, but it's in parentheses, so I got to take it times the outside power. 1 times 4 is 4. And then the 2 times 4 is 8, so I go to the X I already have and just put a plus 8. So 6 plus 8 is 14. Now does that have a negative power? Nope. Does that? Nope. Does that? Nope. Now I do the ones on the calculator that I can. So 3 to the 2nd means 3 times 3. It just means 2 3's multiplied together. 2 of them because it's a 2. And that equals 9, so I put 9. Now I can also do the 4 to the 4th. That would be 4, 4, 4, 4, 4 of them multiplied together. I got 256. Then the X I can't figure out. The letters go last, okay, because you can't figure those out. Now I need to take 9 times 256. When you have 2 big numbers like that, you need to do the times. 2,304. Okay. Next problem. So I got a 6 times an X, ignore the powers, times a 5, and another X. I already have X, so don't write it again. So 6 is to the 1st. So I take 1 times 3. Don't take 6 times 3. You got to put a 1 so you can take the 1 times the 3, and that's 3. All right, now the next, X, 2 times 3 is 6. Now the 5, 1 times 2 is 2. Now the X, 2 times 2 is 4, so I go to the X factor and just add a 4 to the 6 that's already there. So 6 plus 4 is 10. So all these little powers are positive, so we just keep everything in the same place. So 6 to the 3rd I can figure out. 6 times 6 times 6. 216. So I put that as 216. Now I can't figure out x to the 10th because I don't have a number for x. Now go to the 5 to the 2nd. You can figure that out, and that's 25. And the x goes at the end, times x to the 10th. And then we would want to times those. We would need to multiply 216 times 25. I got 5,400. Okay. So I have a factor of x. These are powers, or not factors. Another factor of x, I don't put it, if I already have the letter, I don't put it again. These are powers, not factors. So just the x. So I got x, I got to take 3 times 2, that's 6. And this x, I got to take its power times 3, which is 12. So I would put plus 12. And 6 plus 12 is 18. So that's a positive. Keep it where it's at. And we can't figure that out because we don't know what x is, so that's the answer, x to the 18th power. Also, if you have a negative, you need to get rid of it. I'm sorry about that. Okay. So I have a factor of 3, a factor of x, and these are powers, another factor of a factor of 4, then another factor of x. Okay. So let's go to the 3. 1 times 2 is 2. Now the x, I've got 2 of them, so this x is to the third, so I take 3 times 2, that's 6. And then I go plus, okay, 6. Don't multiply that because it's not, and that's 12. Now 4 to the first, but I know you want to take 1 times 6, but that's not in a parentheses. So if it ain't in a parentheses, you don't multiply. You just take that 1 and put it down here. Okay. So all these stay in the same place. 3 to the 2nd times x to the 12th times 4 to the 1st. So 3 to the 2nd, I can figure that out. That would be 9. X to the 12th, I can't figure out. Okay, 4 to the 1st would just be 4. We put the x last, okay? And we take 9 times 4, that's 36. 36 times x to the 12th power. Okay, so we have a factor of 2, a factor of x, that 3 is an exponent, a factor of y, that's an x right there, so I don't write x again. So 2 put a 1 power, there's a parentheses around it, so you got to take 1 times 3. That's 3. Now go to your x. Okay, 3 times 3, that's going to be 9. But then there's another x, so I got to add the 6. And that's 15. Okay, y. 2 times 3 is 6. And then all these would stay where they're at. So 2 to the 3rd. Times x to the 15th times y to the 6th. So 2 to the 3rd I can figure out. I can take 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. X I can't figure out, okay? That's x to the power of 15. Y I can't figure out. So I think that's all she wrote, okay? The 8's the only number I have, so I can't multiply it by anything. Okay, so we have a factor of w, a factor of 4, and another factor of w. So here's w here, so I take 3 times 2, that's 6. Remember, there's 2 w's here, so we have to add now. Go find the other w, you take 2 times 3, that's 6. So 6 plus 6 is 12. Now the 4 is to the 1 power. And it's in a parentheses, so you don't write 1 down. You got to take the 1 times the 3. Okay, both these stay on top. They're both positives. Okay, I can't figure out w, but I can figure out 4 to the 3rd by taking 4 times 4 times 4. 64. And I always put the letter last. 64 times w to the 12th. Okay, get rid of these negatives here. I don't want those on this assignment. And if you see them on your problems, just get rid of them. So you have a factor of 2, a factor of n. These are powers. Another factor of n, which I already have. So there's one factor of 2, it's to the first, so 1 times 3 is 3. Now there's two factors of n, so I got to add powers. So that n, 2 times 3 is 6, plus the 6, and that's 12. Those both stay in the same place. And we could figure out 2 to the third, darn right. So that'd be 2 times 2 times 2, that would be 8. And the end of the 12, can't figure that out. Okay, last problem. A factor of 4, a factor of A, a factor of B, a factor of 12, factor of A, but I already wrote A down. Factor of B, I already wrote B down. Okay, so let's look at our 4. So 1, there's only one factor of 4, so I just put the power down. 1 times 2 is 2. Now there are two factors of A, so we'll have to add the powers. So 2 times 2 is 4 to the fourth, but it's in parentheses, so if there's an outside power, 4 times 2 is 8. So 4 plus 8 is 12. Now the B, how many factors of B are there? There's 2, so we'd be adding. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 2 is 10, 16. And 12 to the 1, 12 times 1 times 2 is, you got to put a 1 if there's not a power. 1 times 2 is 2. So all these stay on top. 4 to the second times A to the 12th times B to the 16th times 12 to the second. So 4 to the second, that means 4 times 4. That would be 16. I can't simplify A to the 12th. I can't simplify B to the 16th. 12 to the second I can simplify. That would be 12 times 12. And that's 144. And then you have your two variables you put at the end. 16 times 144. 2,304. Okay.